Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Lily. I am so happy you're here with me. In today's video, I am working on another fall project, and I thought I would bring you along so I could show you how I make these really cute fall pockets for your junk journals from window envelopes. Let me show you the two that I've made off camera. These are really cute pockets made from a plain window envelope. It can be a new envelope or a junk mail envelope. And all I did is line the inside of the pocket and then embellished with fall items from my stash. I have this other one that I made. Look at how cute these are. Shop your stash. I'm sure you have a lot of cute little fall items, maybe Halloween items. You can also make these in any occasion that you want. I'm going to go through all of the steps and show you how you can make these super cute little envelope pockets for your junk journals. Are you ready to get started? I'll meet you over in the Crafty Loft. Let's go. I know I said I only made 2 off camera, but then I made 6 because I couldn't stop myself. These are so cute. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to use both a new envelope and also a junk mail envelope to recreate these fall-inspired pockets. Gather your supplies. I'm going to show you in just a moment all of the different, just random things that I came across in my stash. I embellished with stickers, with little bows. Oh my gosh, that gingham trim is so cute. But I used it all up making these 6. I'm also pointing out that I used some die cuts. If you have some dies in leaf shapes, you can also, just cut out a bunch of them to embellish your envelopes. I'm showing you the different envelopes I am going to work with today. Very important, when you receive your junk mail, you want to open your junk mail on the right-hand side, the opposite of the window. This way you can reuse these to make this style of envelope pocket or also my signature little house envelope pockets. Just make sure you only trim the opposite long end, the end on the opposite side of the window. If you don't want to use junk mail envelopes, you can also use new envelopes. You just have to seal the flap and again, just trim on the opposite end of the window. If you have junk mail envelopes, you're one step ahead because you don't have to seal the flap. They are already sealed. If you slice your envelopes open the long way, all you need to do is seal it with washi tape. I should have had a demonstration for you, but you know what I mean. I also went through my scrapbooking papers and came across these really pretty fall-inspired and sunflower, pumpkin designer papers. I will be using those along with these scraps to line the inside of the window pockets. You can also use book page. If you don't have fall-themed papers, you can stamp your own if you have fall stamps. You can use any type of lightweight paper to line your envelope. I made some bows in advance so that you're not just watching me struggle with my long fingernails, tie these cute little bows. I used 2 different types of trim. One of them is a burlap ribbon from Close to My Heart. That one's kind of old. And then I used some brown grosgrain ribbon. That one's also a little bit old and I don't remember where I grabbed that one. Just go through your stash. Use what you have. I also pulled out some other embellishments from my fall craft keeper. Some sentiment stickers with a fall theme. And then these are cut-aparts from some really cute sheets that I purchased a few years ago at the Dollar Tree. And then also these really cute fall stickers from the Dollar Tree. I've had those for a couple years. And then these are really pretty. These are from Hobby Lobby and they are actually window decals. But I'm going to use them as just a regular sticker. And look at how pretty the way they kind of glow, that beautiful copper color, almost mimicking the color of fall. Oh my gosh, I love those. They do have a little bit of dimension, but not too much. I don't mind a little bit of dimension. I've mentioned before, I like using dimensional items for my junk journals. It results in a really thick and chunky junk journal, which I don't mind. I really don't mind having a junk journal with alligator mouth. But if you do, then go through your things and use something that is flat. And so the very first step that I am going to do here is seal the newer envelopes. And then I'm going to cut open the end. This step right here, I really didn't have to do it because you'll see why up ahead. I'm so used to making little house envelope pockets and just trimming this little end here. But I really did need to do that for this. But it doesn't matter. I was just on a roll because I'm going to end up trimming it down to about 6.5 inches anyway. You'll see what I mean. I am measuring, showing you that these are about 6.5 inches. Most of these envelopes are about 9.5 inches in length, and I am going to trim them all down to about 6.5 inches. I don't typically measure. I kind of guesstimate and eyeball most of the things that I do. But if you like to work with precise measurements, then I'm going to provide that for you as well. But this is usually what I do. I just kind of eyeball everything and just trim a few inches off the top. And then I cut the corners off to make my little pocket. This is how I work. But I'm also going to give you some more detailed instructions. And then once you get working on these and once you I've made hundreds of these, and that's one of the reasons why I don't even bother with measuring. But remember, you're going to come up with your own ideas and your own shortcuts and your own method. I am just giving you, I'm just providing you with a little encouragement, some instruction, and then you will fly and create your own. So here I have cut it right at the 6.5 inch mark. So this is why I say that I really didn't need to cut that long end, that little sliver off, because I was going to cut a few inches off of the top anyway. And you're going to see me do a lot of things, and you're probably going to think, you should have done that before, or you should have done that after, or you could have done it this way. I know I could have. Remember one thing, there is always more than one way to do something, and you are going to come up with your own methods. I am here to provide you with the idea, and then you run with it. So now that I have trimmed all of the tops of the envelopes, I am ready to cut the little corners. And here we go again. I don't measure. I'm just eyeballing, trying to come as close as possible. I am kind of looking to make sure that they're somewhat even. But there is another trick to doing this if you want your corners to be cut to the exact dimensions. And this is what you need to do. So you're going to cut one end, and then you're going to take one of those little scrap corners, line it up with the opposite corner, use it as a guide, and then trim it. This way, they will be the exact same cut on both ends. For me, this is too much trouble. It's too much work. So I bypass that and I just clip, clip, clip. And you know what? They turn out okay. And you're going to see at the very end, no one's ever going to know that I didn't use my little corner as a guide to trim them, to trim those little corners off. And I'm now going to fold over that front flap. And I'm using my scraper as a guide to easily fold it over. I have it, I'm going to use it, but if you don't have a scraper, that's okay, you don't need it. Use your fingers and then just very gently line up the edges. So you'll want to line it up to make sure that you don't fold it kind of wonky. Just get it as even as possible. But you know what? Even if it is a little bit wonky and a little bit lopsided, to me, that's really not a big deal. It adds character. Remember, these are handmade items made from junk, and all we're doing is embellishing them to make them look pretty. We are taking trash and turning it into treasure, handmade treasure. Okay, so now that I folded the front flap down, I'm now measuring the width of the envelope because I'm going to begin to cut strips of the decorative paper to line the inside. All of my envelopes are different sizes except for these two. These measure the same, so I'm going to work on these first. These are about 3 7/8 of an inch wide. Measure your envelopes. Every envelope is going to be or have a different measurement. I am trimming it, maybe 1/16 of an inch smaller than the width of the envelope because I wanted to slide into the pocket smoothly. So just remember that. Measure the width of your envelope, and then when you trim your paper, whatever type of paper you're using, wrapping paper works really well with this too, just so you know. I've done it with wrapping paper. And then just trim 1/16 of an inch so that it easily slides into the pocket. It is longer than I need it to be. I am just going to trim about an inch above that top flap. And then I'm going to set it aside and I will come back to it later. And I will continue to do this with all of the envelopes. I think there are 6 of them. I believe there are 6 of them. And the same thing. What's really fun about window envelopes is that they have a little peekaboo window, which makes it really nice. And that is the reason why I am lining the inside, because I want that decorative paper to show through the window. This one is so much wider, and all the others are either 4 inches, 4¼ inches. This one right here is 4½ inches. And I was hoping to have some that were of the same measurement so I can cut my papers all at once. But I'm going to have to do it one at a time. But I'm not rushing through this. I had a really fun time cutting all of the papers and lining all of the envelopes. I do have a larger stash of fall and, fall type of scrapbooking papers. But I just reached for the ones that were at arm's length because I also don't want to overwhelm myself with supplies. Sometimes if you have too many supplies, it's overwhelming and then you can't make any decisions, or at least I can't. So even though I do have other supplies, I try to keep it to a minimum so it doesn't get crazy and overwhelming. I love this one with this large window and this beautiful sunflower paper. They're going to look so nice. Once we begin to add all of the embellishments, they are going to take on a new look. And I'm also going to show you up ahead how I use these in my junk journals. So don't go fast forwarding, just hang out with me for a little while. It's going to be a lot of fun. I do have other videos where I show you how I've made other style of pockets. I've been making these for many years, and there's all kinds of different ones. I have a playlist for altered junk mail envelopes, and I will link that for you up above. And I'll also have other videos with other style of pockets that I've made for your junk journal by repurposing junk mail envelopes. These are so fun. It is an inexpensive way to get really creative. Plus, it allows us to go through our stash and work with all of those beautiful papers that we have been saving for a special day, and also all of the little embellishments. If you're anything like me, I love collecting stickers throughout the year, but also other types of embellishments and even ribbons and trim. You can get as wild and crazy with your embellishments. have them reflect your personality. If you are a minimalist, then don't use as many embellishments. But if you're a maximalist like I am, then use all of the embellishments. They're going to look so cute. So I folded over. The reason I trimmed the paper an inch over the flap is because I'm going to fold it over, and this will leave a nice finish at the very top. I use these as tuck spots in the junk journals, and I'm going to show you that up ahead so that you could see how beautiful they're going to look in the junk journals. And I like for the tops to have a nice finished edge. That's the reason why I fold it over. I'm going to fix this one. I kind of folded it over wonky. In fact, I wasn't wearing my glasses when I started working on this project. And I didn't realize it. I didn't realize that I couldn't see. I was really struggling. And then I realized it's because I wasn't wearing my glasses. So I paused the video, went looking for my eyeglasses, came back, and then all of my folds were nice and even now because I could see. I used to be able to work on my projects. Even last year, I was able to work on my projects without having to wear my glasses. But not anymore. Hello, I turned 56 and now I have to wear my glasses 24/7. Oh my gosh, take care of your vision, everybody. So now folding it over, and after I fold that top flap over, I'm going to glue it down. If you don't want to fold it over, you could just cut it flush to the top. This is what I meant earlier, where you will see that I could have done things a little bit different, and you were right, I can. Again, there are so many different ways to do this, and you will have your own ideas. I'm here to provide you with inspiration and the ideas. Do you know what I mean? And then you will take this project and then you will make it your own using all of your favorite things. Your stash is going to look so different from my stash. That means your papers and your embellishments and your trims and your ribbons and all the things. You have your own style. So let that resonate in your work. So just taking a little bit of glue and sealing that down. And once I glue that flap down, I'm going to go back and trim the corners again. Could I have waited to trim the corners until the very end? Yes, I could have. But this is how I did it. So trimming the corners from all the decorative papers, plus I can use that front flap as a guide. But if I waited until this point to trim the corners, that would be okay too. I feel like the fall season came upon us really fast here. I was enjoying the summer and then all of a sudden it was fall. I didn't think I'd be working on as many fall projects as I've been doing so, and I'm having a lot of fun. I honestly thought that I was going to go from summer projects straight into holiday and Christmas projects, but I really want to take advantage of this season. Plus, I have the supplies and I have all of these great embellishments that I can work with. And so I'm going to take a moment and really enjoy this season and create a few more fall crafts. I'm also working on a couple more junk journals. These are sunflower themed. I was only going to work on one, and I actually just uploaded a flip through video of that. I'll have that video for you up above. But then I decided to work on two others. I wasn't sure I was going to have enough time to do it, just with everything else that I have going on, but I think I could make it work. I'm grabbing all of these little scraps of paper because I am now going to line that front flap. This is completely optional. You don't have to do this, and you don't have to use scrap paper. You can also use washi tape to decorate that front flap. But because I have all of these scraps of papers, I'm going to use them. I added a little bit of glue, and I'm going to go through this step a few times so you could see where I add the glue, how I insert that paper in the envelope, and then glue it to the flap. Because I want to make sure that when I fold that flap over, the design is not upside down. So I'll go over that again in just a moment. So after I line that front flap, I'm going to trim those corners again, and look at how cute that looks. You could leave it as it is. Some of the flaps are actually plain white, and if you want to leave it that way, that is absolutely okay. Do you see how it's barely lined on the inside front? I'm going to go and do that again. If you are using a decorative paper that has a design like this where it goes in, the pumpkins are in one direction, you're going to add the glue to the upside down part. Does that make sense? So I'm basically inserting the paper into the pocket upside down. This way, when I flip it over, it'll be right side up, and the pumpkins will not be upside down. I hope that made sense. And now they are in the direction I need them to be. And I'll do it again a few more times. And the reason I'm pointing this out is because there were a few, in fact, in the ones that I made off camera, some of those are upside down, but I'm not going to tell you which ones because you can't even tell. And now that I've done that, I'm going to move over to the next one. Okay, so I'm going to take my paper, and I'm just making sure, see how I'm looking here? It's going to go into the pocket upside down. I add a little bit of glue, and I'm only going to insert it just a little bit, just enough so that it attaches to the inside, and I don't want it to show through the window. So be careful of that. Adding glue to the flap, and now I will trim the excess, and this will be, I'll be cutting it flush to that top flap, to the front flap. I check the reverse side to make sure I'm not cutting the flap on the back. Kind of tricky, but once you get the hang of it, you'll be fine. The idea here is to line the inside of the envelope and to decorate and embellish that front flap. This is how I do it, and you can embellish it or leave it as it is if you want. The sunflower paper, it really doesn't matter how you insert it because there's no like wrong, upside down, or you know what I mean? There's no right or wrong way with this design. I just inserted it, maybe about an inch. I stopped just before it begins to show through the window. I've also used washi tape in the past. But look at all these scraps, and this is how scraps of paper are made, everybody. This is how it happens. And so the more paper I cut, the more scraps of paper I have, and I really do need to use them. This one right here with the little pumpkins, which one do I use? I'm going to use the large pumpkins again. Okay. And I'm going to insert it upside down. Do you see how I do that? And then barely insert it just so it doesn't show through the window, and then make sure that it grabs on with that adhesive I added. That little bottle is so old. I mean, I cannot believe that the glue in that bottle is still fluid. I know that I've had that little glue bottle for more than 5 years, and I say that because I've been in Utah now since 2020. And I have not bought that Tombow glue here in the years I've lived here. So that came with me from California. And it didn't dry out. And I'm going through my stash and I'm using up my supplies, including old glue. I did have to throw away a few different types of glue because it just gummed up. But it was a nice surprise to find that this one was still fluid, and it's really sticky. It used to be one of my favorite glues. It was my go-to glue for a long time. But then, others come along and you give them a try and then you fall in love with those. But this one's also really good. I like that it has that fine tip because I am out of the art glitter glue. I'm out of it. That glue lasted a few years. But we're not buying any glue until I use up all the glue I have. That looks so pretty. I'm using, in some of these, you've noticed, I'm using contrasting papers. And I really like that. You can use the same decorative paper or you can change it up and use a coordinating paper. Some of the junk mail envelopes have some of the branding printed on it. I'm going to take some more of these little scraps of paper and I am going to cover it up. If you wanted to take it one step farther, you could collage the entire front of the envelope, but I'm not going to do that. I like some of that white space. Again, do what you love. If you love collaging, you can collage the entire front of the envelope or just take a few bits and pieces of the scrapbooking paper and just cover or use it where there's branding. No rhyme or reason. I am just cutting little bits and pieces, and I'm only going to do this to the envelopes that have that extra print on them. By the way, if you don't want to use these pockets in your junk journals, you can also use them as a gift. Instead of a traditional greeting card, you can make these as your greeting card. You can tuck in a nice little card or a tag with the sentiment. And then if you are giving a gift, you can attach it to a gift bag or you can tape it down to a wrapped present. So many ideas. I like making things that are multifunctional. And even though I love creating things for my junk journals, I also like creating others, things for other aspects of my life, gift giving and home decor and sharing, things like that. I love when we can use something more than one way. So finishing up with the my very easy collage work. Very easy. There was nothing complicated about what I am doing here. I just want to make the front of these pockets look really cute and have them coordinate. I didn't think that some of these would look so good together, but because they're all pumpkin and sunflower themed, they all mesh really well. Even if the colors are a little bit off, what's going to bring them all together and kind of unify and make it look cohesive are the embellishments. The embellishments will kind of bring everything together. So some of these may look a little bit crazy with all of these different papers, but you saw what the first ones look like. And I did those the exact same way that I am working on these. But covering up with all of these little pieces of paper, it can start to look a little bit crazy, but just trust the process. And if you don't like it, then start over again. I create projects that I love. And a lot of what you don't see are, I do a lot of things off camera. I don't record everything that I do. And there have been projects that I've worked on that I've just thrown away because I didn't love them. So it's okay. If you make something and you don't love it, then just start over and keep working until you love it, because that's important too. And sometimes it could be the color choices or the design papers that we're working with or the embellishments. So change things up, work in your favorite colors, in your favorite designs, in your favorite patterns. And that way you know for sure that you're going to love it. Trimming off the excess. I think this is the last one, cleaning it all up. And that one with the large window has to be my favorite one. So now this is the fun part. We get to embellish and use our stickers and all of our little fun trims. I decided to glue the front flap down. This is also optional. But because of the way I am going to embellish the front of it, I want to make sure that the flap stays down. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue to the flap and glue it down. I have in other little envelope pockets that I've made, I've used a little paper clip to keep that flap down, and it adds another more texture and another interest or layer of interest. So if you don't want to glue it down, just take a little paper clip. It'll look cute. I set that one aside because that flap wasn't. Some of them just kind of wanted to pop up, and I wanted to make sure that they stay down. And that one I set aside wasn't popping up, but I go back and I glue it down anyway. I like having this acrylic block handy. It adds a little bit of weight to keep things flat as they glue. Kind of helps the making sure that it grips. You know what I mean? The glue. Making sure that it attaches. I'm going to begin with these window decals. These are so fun, and they do have a tiny bit of dimension. Nothing too bulky. And I'm going to begin to attach some of these leaves, adding a little bit of glue. They do have some adhesive, but it is a low tack. And I'm just adding some ultimate glue to make sure that these don't fall off. And I'm going to work in assembly line order. So I will go through all of the pockets and add one of these leaves one by one. Some of these larger ones are really nice, and I'll use those for the larger envelopes. I love that copper color. Has a little bit of gold in there too. Really pretty. And so depending on the size of my envelope, I am, choosing the size of the leaf. Bigger envelope, bigger leaf. Smaller envelope, smaller leaf. And then just pressing it down, I just want to make sure that everything adheres. If you don't have stickers or this type of sticker, I mentioned how you could die cut the leaves. And I also have some, I think they are some Tim Holtz dies, and I've used those too to embellish the envelopes, but I used them all up. Just use whatever you have. You could also draw your own wonky little leaves and then just fussy cut and use those as well. I think once you go through your stash and kind of assess what you have, that'll help when putting these together. And then these were fun. This was a sheet of cut-aparts that I picked up at the Dollar Tree a few years ago. And I just started fussy cutting a lot of these, and they're really cute. It's all fall themed. Some of them are It's more like a, like a harvest, like a Thanksgiving cut apart, but lots of great little things that I could use. For example, this cut apart, I could fussy cut and also attach it in the upper left-hand side of the pocket. Anything you have, sunflowers. Look at this cute little scarecrow. That would be so cute. And then that cute little bear. All these cute little things that I could use. Super cute. A windmill. Use whatever it is that you have to embellish the pockets. Make them look really cute. I will select some of these. Those pumpkins are really nice. So look through your paper pads. Maybe you've got some cut aparts in there that you could fussy cut and use to embellish on these pockets. So I'm going to set that aside, and I just selected a couple of things, and I will begin to, what I'm going to do now is embellish the bottom part of the pocket. So now that I've worked on the top by adding those larger leaves, I'm now going to take some of these little cut aparts, and then I'm also going to bring in some of the stickers and start creating like little pumpkin scenes, little harvest scenes. And this is where it begins to kind of come together. They don't look as crazy anymore or unfinished. Each one will also have some type of sentiment. I'm also going to bring in some of those fall sentiment stickers. If you don't have fall sentiment stickers, any type of sentiment stickers will work. This one's really cute. That was one of my favorite little cut apart pieces. Guess what I have coming up this Saturday? I've been talking about it the last couple of months, and the day is fast approaching. I am doing my very first half marathon this Saturday, October 25th, and I am so excited, but I'm also a little bit nervous. I'm starting to get like butterflies, and but I'm really excited. I have been in a 10-week training program. So I have been training for this half marathon for 10 weeks. And this is week 10 that I'm actually, this is week 10. And I am now like tapering. I'm learning all these new terms. So I have been working and training really hard. But week 9 and week 10, we begin to taper. That means slow down just a little bit to conserve energy so that we are ready and fueled for the race. We don't want to approach the race feeling fatigued, because I was fatigued for 8 weeks. I was tired for 8 weeks. And I almost feel like I'm not working out enough right now because I've really slowed down. But I am so excited and nervous at the same time. My goal is to finish. I want to finish the half marathon. And isn't that so cute with the scarecrow? Look at how cute that is. The half marathon that I'm participating in is called the Haunted Half, and it takes place in Provo every single year. I have been doing it now for a few years, but I've only ever done the 5K and the 10K. So this is the very first time that I do a 10K, and this training program, let me tell you, it was tough. But that's what it's supposed to be, It's not supposed to be easy. And we'll see. I will definitely be telling you more about it after. I can't wait to tell you how I did. I hope I do well, you guys. I hope I do well for my first half marathon. Um, so we'll see. Fingers crossed everything goes well. And then next week, I'll be able to tell you about it and share all the details. And if you follow me on my personal Instagram, that's where I share a lot of my running. And in fact, I also have a TikTok account, but my TikTok is only running. It is strictly running. So if you want to see me post and talk about my running, that's where you will find me on TikTok. And also on my personal Instagram. My personal Instagram is about me, just everything about me. Everything from my real estate work to my running to my music I listen to the trips that I take, my family, my shopping, everyday things all about me. That's what I share on my personal Instagram. So if you would like to join me there, I'll have that linked down below. And I also have a crafty Instagram. And so I'll have that down below as well. So you can follow me anywhere you want or all the places you want. So now that I've added all of these really nice stickers to the bottom, I'm going to go back and I'm going to grab these fall sentiment stickers. These are kind of old. I've probably had these for, over 10 years. And I'm just going to grab a few and add a nice little sentiment. They're all fall themed and Thanksgiving and harvest. I have to add a little bit of adhesive because they're not very sticky anymore because they are so old. But look at how pretty that looks. And that reads, "I am so grateful for you." And I am very grateful for you because you have taken the time to spend some time with me today. And I appreciate you so much. There is so much content on YouTube, but you have chosen to be here with me, and I value your time. Thank you so much. I hope that this project inspires you so that you can create something like this, little envelope pockets for your junk journals or for gift giving or even for home decor. If you are new here and you are here for the first time, thank you so much. Welcome. I hope you stick around. This is the type of content that I like to create. I like working in junk journals, and I love turning trash to treasure, upcycling, recycling. That is my jam. And working with junk mail envelopes is at the top of my list. But I also like working on all kinds of other things like Rolodex cards and junk journals and little golden books and making journals from cereal boxes and packaging. So stick around and subscribe so that you can see more of that. I've got all kinds of videos on my homepage. So when you're done watching this video, you can hop on over to my homepage on my YouTube channel and you can take a look at all the different playlists and videos that I have there for you. Thank you. I appreciate you. So finishing these off with a little sentiment. And then I'm also going to go back. I almost forgot. I still have to add all of those little ribbon bows. And I'm going to add those to the top of the leaf. This was a lot of fun. I really only wanted to work on a couple of these, but they were just so cute, and I had all of these extra envelopes to work with. I'm showing you how it is that I tied the little bow. And it was a little bit tricky because I do have long fingernails. But if I could do it with these long fingernails, you can do it too. And it's so cute. I almost want to just make a whole ton of these little bows and have them at the ready. Look at how cute that is. So now I will begin to glue them down, and that adds just the right finishing touch, making it look so cute. You know, I had heard someone say that bows were old, like were out of style, and I don't care. I don't care if things are out of style or that trend has passed. You know what I mean? I Are you kidding me? I'm from the 80s. I'm still wearing a lot of my 80s clothes. My favorite outfit is a concert t-shirt, a pair of Levi's, and my Vans. That is my favorite go-to outfit. So don't tell me things are out of style. If you love something, you need to do it. And I love the little bows, and I will continue to work with little bows. Maybe I will bring the bows back. This brown grosgrain, so cute. You know, I honestly didn't think I'd ever use that brown grosgrain ribbon because it's brown. But as I was going through my things, I thought, how perfect is this brown with these fall pockets? So you just never know. Shop your stash. I'm using a lot of glue. The nice thing though is the glue does dry. This is the ultimate glue. It's like a crazy glue, like really strong glue, but it dries completely clear. And so I know it looks like I'm using a lot of it and it looks kind of messy, but it cleans up and dries really nice. I just want to make sure that all of these cute little embellishments are not going to fall off. Doesn't that look crazy? Look at that. But let me show you how it dries. Completely clear, and it cleans it up. Believe me, I used just as much glue on those as I am with these, and it's gonna look nice, believe me. The Ultimate Glue is a really nice glue to use because it works well with these embellishments, not just with these little bows, but it works great with glass, metal, plastic, acrylic, all the things. And the stuff does not fall off. OMG, look at how cute. I can't believe I made this many. But they are so cute. This is the sunflower themed fall junk journal that I recently worked on. And I'm going to show you how I use these pockets in the pages. If you want to see a flip through of this journal, I will have that video linked in the description area below. Just scroll all the way to the bottom of the description area and you'll see the relevant videos that I mentioned today. And here's one of the pockets. I glue only two of the sides, the left side and the bottom, and then leave it as a tuck spot, but then also you can use it as a pocket. And I use several of them in this journal. Again, you could see it is a tuck spot. I've only glued it down on two sides, and then I make these really nice tags to tuck into the pocket. And let me show you one more. So cute. And I made these the exact same way that I made the ones today. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so much. You guys are awesome. If you have any questions, please let me know in the description area below. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next time. Bye.